What is up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to another book review. If you're new here, my name is Dee Sijogomani. Consider subscribing if you love reading books and watching reviews. My reviews sometimes do have spoilers, and I am very unapologetic about that because, like, why would I be talking about a book if I don't tell you what happens inside the book, you know? Anyways, today we're going to be reviewing my first ever Colleen Hoover book. She bamboozled me. Oh my goodness. We're going to be reviewing It Ends With Us. So this is another book talk recommendation. If you don't know what book talk is it is the side of TikTok where people read books. So I didn't know what to expect, but looking at the cover, so the cover is beautiful. I love it. There are these flowers. I think those are orchids. They're broken. I just felt as though this looks like there's violence in here. Why is the flower broken? For me, it gave off a feeling of a vase being knocked off the table, but like violently, not like by mistake. And I was right. This book is so triggering. Oh my gosh. Okay, so you've talked about the cover. I love it. I love the purple. I love the spine. I love all of it. The font size, it's the font size that I'm down with. Like, it's not too small, it's not too big, and the length of the book is under 400 pages, so it's doable for me. I can't read books that are longer than 400 pages. It's 373 pages. I want to challenge myself this year to read one book that's like 400 pages or more, and of the books that are in my to be read list, I think The Spanish Love Deception might be closer to 400 than the others. But anyways, back to It Ends With Us. So It Ends With Us follows Lily Bloom and the story of Lily Bloom and Atlas Corrigan. Lily is a small town girl. She's from Maine. I don't even know where Maine is. That's how small town I feel like that place is. I feel like when I think of Maine, I think of desert. I don't know why, or like emptiness. Just, you know, those small towns where white people live. That's what I think of. And Atlas and Lily become friends. Eventually they fall in love. Atlas moves away. He joins the military. Lily stays in her hometown in Maine. Eventually she grows up, leaves Maine, moves to Boston, opens her own business, which is a flower shop. And we're in the home that she grew up in. It was chaotic. Like, her father was abusing her mother. And Lily, as a child, would always ask herself, like, why does this woman not leave? And always judging her mom. And I can still relate to this because my father, he was ruthless. He was toxic. And I always ask myself, like, why does this person not leave? Like my mom, why don't you just leave him? And obviously you guys know that I recently became a single mom, and I was living at my boyfriend's place, and then I moved back to where I'm sitting right now, which is my mom's apartment. So when I think about like my mom, why didn't you leave? Like, where was she gonna go? Where was she gonna go? Because that house that I grew up in was the only house she had in the town we lived in. Where was she gonna go with her 3 children? What? She built that house from scratch, and there was a farm on the house. Where was she gonna go? So for me, this book really reminded me of like that part of my childhood, and made me sort of sympathize or empathize with her mom. Like, where was the woman gonna go? She just had to sit and literally pray that he would leave. Eventually he did leave. And so Lily grows up anyways, moves to Boston, opens her business, falls in love with a neurosurgeon, Ryle. And I honestly, for me, when I think of Ryle, a lot of time when I'm reading, I can't see the people's faces, but when I think of Ryle, I think of a tall, well-built man, white man with blonde hair and clean-shaven face, smells good, like expensive, smells expensive. That's what I think when I think of Ryle, like blonde, blue-eyed, well-built, tall, smells expensive. And I feel like they described him like this, not exactly like that, but in the way that they describe him. He's a neurosurgeon, he's got a rich sister. Well, the sister married rich. Kyle is rich. I mean, not Kyle, Ryle is rich. And so Lily falls in love with him, and guess what, girl? Ryle is abusive, like physically abusive. And the first time it happened to Lily, she could not believe. She was like, no, it was a mistake. When you tell yourself, no, that didn't happen. He didn't really shove me. It was a mistake. It was just a reaction. He didn't purposefully shove me. And when I was reading this part of how Lily is continuing a generational trauma, so her mother was in an abusive relationship, now she's gotten herself into it. When she met Ryle, this neurosurgeon, did she know that the guy was physically abusive? No, she did not. And Lily, it reminded me of myself, because as much as my ex-boyfriend, baby daddy, was not physically abusive, he was like, I don't know, like I've said to my therapist before, when I think of him, I think of like the image that comes to mind is like a man in like a black suit, and there's just smoke around him. You can't really see what's happening, and I feel as though like that really describes my father as well. And I was so angry when I was telling the story to my therapist, and I was like, I just feel as though I'm repeating patterns. Like, why did I go for this guy that is very similar to my father? It's very untruthful, unfaithful, gaslighting, like very conniving, I want to say. And she was like, you know what, you have to be a little bit kinder to yourself, give yourself a bit more grace, because we repeat patterns despite ourselves. I did not go out seeking this man that was similar to my father. Lily did not go out seeking a man that was similar to her father. You repeat patterns despite your, so she said, you repeat patterns despite yourself, and what counts is how quickly you recognize that you are repeating a pattern, and how quickly you course correct. So for me, she was like, you can give yourself a pat on the back, but you recognize that you're repeating a pattern, and that you course corrected before you got married to this man, and before you were 3 children in deep. The same with Lily. Well, she eventually did get married to Ryle and had a child with Ryle that was an unplanned child. But when she gave birth to this child is when she said to Ryle that I want a divorce, because what would you want for your daughter if she came and told you that her man was shoving her around? So I feel as though the title of this book is it's spot on. It ends with us. Like, the cycle, the generational trauma ended with Lily. And for me, the trauma of being with men, or the generational pattern of being with men that are not transparent, emotionally abusive, gaslighting, manipulative, ended with me. I feel as though, I was saying to a friend of mine that I so often used to ask myself, like, why do these things happen? Why did I choose this guy? Blah, 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 blah. And for me personally, I feel as though when we are still spirits, when we are still stars, when we are still not in physical form, before you decide to come onto this earth, you have a conversation with God, and you sort of pick your parents to be like, God will tell you, you're going to choose those parents because there are some things as the spirit that you are that you need to learn, or that you need to go and fix. And I feel like my assignment was to end that pattern, and Lily's assignment was to also end that pattern. And so kudos to Lily, and kudos to me. Sometimes though, I'm just like, why the fuck did nobody else do this work? Why is it my job? Couldn't I have another job of being like Rihanna's daughter? Is Rihanna having a girl, boy? I don't know, but anyways, this book, 5 stars out of 5. Really, really great. So triggering. So many tears. I think if I were to list, I'll do a separate, another like book themed video. But so far, it is what? April still. And my top 5 books, I'll give you 2 out of the 5 because I don't really have the other 3. Number 1 is It Ends With Us, and number 2 is Girl in Pieces. I don't know if I can choose between these 2 because they were both so good. Oh no, wait, here's a book that's like longer than 400 pages. How long is this thing? Oh, it's just 400. So like, you see what I'm saying about reading books that are, this is like AF, but I read it so quickly also. I can't choose between these two, but I feel like It Ends With Us is number 1 and this one is number 2, and they will remain that way. I don't think there will be other books that will bump these ones down. I'm currently reading The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I don't have a copy here, it's in the bedroom, and I feel like this is going to be in my top 5 as well. It'll probably be number 3, and yeah, I really look forward to reading some more. Let me know what you guys thought of It Ends With Us if you've read the book, and please suggest some other Colleen Hoover books for me to read. I have this one. Oh my gosh, these books, if they fall, oh. I'm a disaster today. So you can suggest some other Colleen Hoover books. So I've read It Ends With Us. I've got Verity. I feel as though I will probably read Verity after I read The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I've seen, oh my gosh, this is apparently also a TikTok sensation. Anyways, I've seen Ugly Love. I want that one. I have seen Reminders of Him. I want that one. I'm also going to pre-order at the end of this month. I'm going to pre-order It Starts With Us, and I feel as though It Starts With Us is a story of Atlas Corrigan and Lily Bloom starting their healed people relationship. Yeah, anyways, cool. See you guys in the next book review. Bye. I'm going to be reviewing My Phantoms by Gwendolyn Riley in the next review. Anyways.